All praises are due to Allah. Assalamu alaikum, NationTownTV family. It's your brother, but Brother Landon X, and this is another, but a very special edition of NationTownTV Live. I want to thank everybody that's chiming in. Allow me to open up in the proper fashion. I want to get right to this one. This is a special one right here. But in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God who mercifully intervened in our affairs in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to be right and exact, and down to these modern times. And lastly, I bear witness that I would know nothing of those two great and divine men if it were not for the divine teaching, the torchlight in this dark hour, my brother, my father figure, your brother, the last chance we have on this rock called Earth. I'm talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet all of the Nation Town family with the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. That's the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted, deceptive language called English. And it's the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted, deceptive man that taught us that language, the Caucasian. I greet you in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum, dear family. Man, we got one for you today. Now, we don't do a whole lot of interviews on NationTownTV Live. We might switch it up. We might start doing more, but this would be a great start because the brother that I'm about to bring on to the panel, this particular brother, what I love about my brother, I'm gonna get into, just his character and his some of his background. He's gonna get into it. But what I love about my brother is that, he walks in such humility, but the brother has had an illustrious life, man. It's the kind of life that you would see on television, but in fact, you have seen it on television several times over. We talking about a brother who, like so many of our brothers and even some of our sisters, growing up in our destroyed communities, he lived a completely different life 30 some odd years ago, where not only was he in the streets, but I ain't talking about nickel and diamond. I'm talking about a brother who was very knee deep at a very pivotal time in our community's history. You've heard of Freeway Rick. You've heard of, all of the different, I would say, copycats that came after him, and also the movies and the TV shows being based on, such as Snowfall, which is a fictional telling of something that was absolutely real. The brother that I'm going to bring on is a brother who lived that life, but the best part is he climbed out of that life by the grace of Almighty God, Allah. He is one of the most consistent brothers in the nation of Islam today. He's a great father, he's a great soldier, but I want you to hear from the brother himself. Dear brothers, I want to introduce the brother that you see on this flyer right now. That's our beloved brother, Brother Lebo Muhammad, my brother and your brother. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Lebo. Can you hear me?
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam, sir.
All praises
Brother
due
Minister.
to
Yes, sir.
Allah. Welcome to NationTownTV, Brother Lebo. How you feeling?
Thank Fine, sir. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. I'm greatly and highly appreciative of being able to come on Nation Town
Yes,
and the
sir.
foundation that you have built on here. It's a wonderful, opportunity to reach out to our people and bring them in to the light of knowledge and invite them to come to 8039 South Vermont Avenue on Sunday around 11 o'clock. Doors open at 10, so you can get the knowledge of yourself and hear our brother, student minister, Brother Landon, teach from the rostrum.
Man, all praises due to Allah. That's right. And you know that what you just saw, dear family, is a very good intro to my brother's character, man. He's family first. But Nation is family for this brother. And brother, you've been through so much in your life. And I want to thank you for, I had this in the back of my mind, but that just shows that by the grace of Allah, me and you, we align in our minds, because I had that in the back of my mind. I was like, Brother Lebo's story, it's got to be out there. And I thought I was going to have to pull it out of you because, brother, you walk with so much humility. But in light of the very popular television show Snowfall, which highlighted the beginning. I remember when the show first came on the air about 4 or 5 years ago, it was marketing itself as the show that would tell the story of how crack cocaine hit the community. Um, it did it in a very fictional way with fictional characters, but it used very realistic and events that were based on reality, which is a topic that I study. You didn't have to study it, you lived it. So that's why it's so important for us to tell the story. This is not to bash Snowfall. We spoke on it previously, privately, and you bear witness that there was some very realistic aspects to it. But it's important for our people to really hear, the boots on the ground take on what it was like at that time. It's really important for me because that's the time of my coming of age, man. I was raised in the 80s and the 90s, so that era is all I knew. And I had the I guess you could say fortunate but yet unfortunate opportunity to see how it spread across the country like wildfire. But I'm so excited to really hear it from a brother who went through it, but most of all, a brother who got through it. I'm gonna say that again, a brother that got through it, because as you know better than I do, Brother Lebo, a lot of brothers didn't get through it. So first and foremost, Brother Lebo Muhammad, top lieutenant out of Muhammad Mosque number 27. Give us a little bit of an introduction of just your upbringing. Before we get into the life that you ran into, give us a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, what part of Los Angeles you're from, and then kind of touch on, how you know, found yourself in that street life that's glorified and depicted on television and in music, but you find yourself actually in it, if you will, dear brother.
Man. I grew up on 104th between Avalon and Central on McKinley.
Mm,
104th and 105th, and McKinley is my exact location. I went to 99th Elementary School. I went to Gompers. I got kicked out of Gompers. I went to Bethune. I got kicked out of Bethune. I had to go to Eastlake. And then when I got out of Eastlake, they sent me to Henry Clay. That was the only school that would accept me in junior high.
mm,
Then I went to Locke and, different schools after that. I played football. I was a decent little football player, and I might have had a few buzzwords throughout the city. That's where, like I said, 104th and McKinney is where I grew up with my mother and my stepfather, my biological father. His mother stayed on Santa Barbara between Menlo and Hoover, which had a very profound effect on my childhood development.
mm.
It was across the street from the sports arena Coliseum and Exposition Park and the museum and the Olympic swimming pool. So a lot of my, communication skills and networking in the streets came from that development also.
Yes, sir. Now, brother, you are very, by the grace of Almighty God, Allah, you are definitely a young-hearted brother, and you're still in very good shape. You know, and you're a brother who's experienced enough to tell a younger brother like myself what Los Angeles was like before the crack cocaine epidemic. Tell me what it was like growing up before that missile really crashed into South Central, and what South Central and what Los Angeles and Watts was like, before that, and then what the transition was like as it exploded.
You know, um, coming up in the era at that time, it was still black families. It was still black love and unity, black power.
Come on,
You know, you might walk through different communities and be like, "What's going on, young blood or young brother?" You know, it was a lot more watch stacks
mm,
and and the different little watch Christmas parades and you know when I think about the sports activities and the different parks and the den mamas and the like the Boy Scouts and things of that nature in different communities, the Anthony's area, the Compton area, you know, over off Central and maybe Slauson and 48th, or, just the aspect of unity and concerts at the Coliseum and sports arena in the Forum, it was more more an effect of, you know, pride in my community, pride in the neighborhood, you know. It's just like the big homies, like, man, you can't rob and steal from black people, brother. If you're gonna be out here in the streets doing that, don't do that around here.
come on, that part. Now, brother, you're originally from Watts. Is that right, brother
Yes,
Levi?
yes, sir. Watts, the East Side. Like I said, I grew up on 104th, 105th and McKinley, and that location or that area, was a profound uh, Black Power signal. But then the unity of the young black men that were coming together under different like team posters and all that concept was kind of built on like brothers like Higgins and uh the brother uh can't think of his name right now, but uh uh Bunchy Carter.
Yes, sir.
These are the type of people that was in the community, kind of like off the Black Panther tip, because it was the Black Panthers was the the stronghold or the basis of it, you know, going off of Imperial and Central and Compton Avenue. They Today you see the 105. Before the 105 was there, it was housing and it was railroad tracks. And if you
Wow.
got caught on the wrong side of that railroad track and you just happen to be your complexion wasn't congruent with the area, you might find that you might be in a little situation.
Mm. So you pre 105 freeway. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It's like going to Devil's Dip off of Western Imperial before they built the 105 and
Right.
all that. They used to take the dirt bikes. Some of the brothers off the east side used to ride over there. We used to ride our bikes from the community down Imperial to the ocean. You
Mm.
know.
Yes, sir. Now, one thing I noticed when I came to LA, the different communities, and not just on a gang tip, but just the different, suburbs of different towns, Compton, Inglewood. There's a lot of pride, for black folks that live in those areas and our Chicano family. But the Watts pride, it's something else. It's something different. And to me, it come off no disrespect to Compton and Inglewood. I ain't trying to hear it from the Compton Inglewood NationTown family, but Watts, and it's so legendary, and it goes way back. You know what I mean, to the Watts uprising in the '60s. Watts seems to have a different brand even to this day. It's got a different brand of unity and the East Side in general. Could you explain as best you can why that is and what the community, was like, in the past and even in some ways still is, and what brings that pride that the brothers and sisters in Watts have?
Um. Well, to my best understanding, and even word of mouth from my big homies and OGs, the homegirls and all that. Most of Watts were people that came from the South, and
Mm,
most of them might have came out of the military.
mm,
Off of Alameda used to have all the like the Goodyear uh, Corporation and different other uh, what you say like
factories and that kind of,
aerospace
yeah,
aerospace type industries,
Firestone.
Goodyear and Firestone. Yes, sir. So, and the biggest project west of the Mississippi was the Nickerson Gardens. And
Mm,
like I say, a lot of the brothers and sisters that came to work in them facilities, they end up living in them housing projects. And like I say, a majority of them was from the military. So we have that military training. We
yes, sir.
have that pride that was instilled in you from people that came out the South,
Mm,
out, that Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri,
mm,
Southern Illinois. So they migrated this way going west, opposed to going St. Louis, Chicago, Kansas City like that. And like I say, we have a more military type background, even in our dress codes, like you might have had like in the Nickersons, I could remember like them talking about the green jacket right now. Over in my section, they were more communal, Watts Labor Action Community Center, WLCAC, and they genderfying the community and they marching, and they was more a regiment. Even the team posters were ran like that, as far as like Sheriff Carradine them and the Pathfinder football teams, and different little baseball aspects. So your parents, your uncles, your aunties, the community, it was like a brand. You had pride, and
mm,
pride bought respect, and you had respect for one another. but you have respect for the area. We all leave off somewhere, we all come back together. That was just, it's like how the military say, leave no one behind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, let me know if I'm wrong on this. I remember having a conversation with Brother Kareem, our beloved veteran pioneer brother here in Los Angeles, and we were talking a little bit on the bounty hunters. Bounty hunters was one of the first street organizations in Los Angeles, and he was saying how in the beginning they came together in order to protect the neighborhood from outside forces, Caucasoid outside forces. And could you talk a little bit about how you saw the street organizations transform or mutate into what we know them as now, and then lead us into how you got led into the street life.
Um, Brother Kareem, all praise due to Allah. That's one of our last pioneers that experienced April 27, 1962
That's right.
demonstration with LAPD.
That's right.
And some of your audience out of research LAPD. LAPD go all the way back to Cohen, back in the 1940s. With Parker and all them, and they are a very rogue outfit, and they're like a gang or like a mafia. But Brother Kareem is a little older than me, well,
Yes, sir.
much older than me,
Yes.
and um, like I said, for the older brothers, they would band with us because we bordered Linwood, Compton, Southgate, So, it was even rough for the Latino brothers. They want to keep it 100. Everybody kind of tough now, and you know, but it was a time when you couldn't even go to Compton as a black child, male child, or
Mm,
just black people in general. It's like a sundown town. Get your ass out of here before the sun
mm.
hits you. You
Wow.
know. So, and some of them little rogue little white boys would come through, trying to get down on some of the brothers and sisters. I mean, I ain't mad at them,
Yeah.
but um, that was the aspect of, like I say, my big homies them told us we couldn't rob black people. We couldn't do no harm to black people. We wanted to do that. We had to go out the area.
Mm.
So, you know, the homies then were more protective, of us. It was more like you could feel the love. They'll look out for the young bucks where nobody trying to take advantage, of the youngsters or the youth, or be trying to rape up on them or anything like that. Or the community was a little different, because it was coming off that the Slossons and the Gladiators and all these different other uh, predecessors, you know, to what the Crips and Bloods turned out to be.
Sir.
So uh brother Kareem is right about Watch, because there was some aspects of Watch where they didn't even want uh you know gangs in the community, or different family like the pygmies. You would hear about them, or certain, depending on, you know me being, inshallah, I'll be 61 in June,
Right.
and my experience in the community, what I mean, it depends on if you what year you came off the porch, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell me a little bit about how you segued into that lifestyle, because one thing that I also know about my brother, not only, do you have an illustrious history, but from what I understand, you was a bounty hunter on the football field. You was a head hunter on the football. Tell us a little bit about that, and then how that transitioned into, some of your activities in the streets.
Well, well, when we was younger, like I said, Coach Carradine, like a lot of, if I don't know, like what kind of audience you have, but those brothers that grew up at the time, it was called Will Rogers Park, but it's rightfully named Ted Watkins now.
Yes.
They used to have the sheriff's league,
Mm-hmm.
so football kind of kept a lot of us out of trouble, like we might play the brothers over there at Anthony's Park or
Okay.
Enterprise, all them turned to be like different blood sets, but they were den mamas. You might be on their team. And once you got on the team, the coaches wasn't trying to let you go nowhere.
Right.
But we kept it cordial in their activities in the 70s and early 80s and stuff. When we went off into high school, it ain't like how it is today.
Mm.
Uh, or high schools recruit you and all that because I got in a situation where my parents moved out off 104th and McKinney and they moved to Compton, but I stayed in the community on 104th because it was where you grew up at.
Right, right, right.
Elementary, junior high wasn't even a set like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when you got to the point, at what point did you find yourself sinking into the life, you know, you know, narcotics and I say hood pharmacists. What was going on in your life at that time, and what was that gravitational pull like in that time? To get big because this is a little bit before West Coast hip hop really exploded. So it wasn't just the music promoting it. So what was the pull like for you, somebody who came a little bit before Ice-T and NWA and before it really got glamorized on TV? What was that pull, other than the obvious, which was the money? But what is it that was that gravitational pull for you?
My mother, and my stepfather was never the type, they wasn't the type, oh, go get a good education, go to college. Woo. Man, I a lot of times I don't mention it, but I had USC and these kind of schools calling me in high school, talking to my parents.
Yes, sir.
I thought it was one of the little, we used to play jokes and call, I want to talk to so and so, but my dad, my stepfather kind of made me realize, like, yo, dude, this is real. Stop playing.
Right.
But he didn't ever say, oh man, you need to focus on football. You need to. So my stepfather introduced me to weed. He gave me a shoebox full of weed one year. I think I was in going to the seventh grade. I was smoking weed. I used to go on my mama. My mom used to hide her weed in her panty drawer. And I used to go in there strip searching the house like a sheriff or something. I'll find it, but I didn't really know how to roll the weed up, and I would roll it too big in the middle, and oh man, the weed was just so much. But I would smoke weed with the homies in the community. I was drinking. They let me smoke cigarettes. At 12 years, I'm smoking Newports and Cools and all that. This is my parents. Them, my stepfather be like, he used to give me I used to get paranoid off of this. Don't let your mama find out you smoking weed. He'll let me smoke, but he'll tell me don't let my mama find out I'm smoking, and I'm stealing her weed out of her drawer. So
Right.
I didn't even want to go home, until I kind of like, came down. Um, I was able to do a lot of things at a young age, brother, that a lot of, even today, young people it's not permissible. You got to really come from a hardcore ghetto type environment to
Mm-hmm.
do that. And I'm talking about this is like 74 and 78 and so like I say, my first introduction was weed. And it took me about a year to roll up all that weed and sell joints in the bathroom at the junior high. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? But come like 77, 70. Damn. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You
I'm
back?
I'm I'm in the hardcore uh I'm in hardcore pharmaceutical sales by 77, 78. I didn't graduated from the weed. And like I say, my stepfather introduced me to all that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, brother Kevin. I see you, brother, representing the house under God and having Melvin shows. All praises due to Allah. Family, hit us up with your questions and comments. We may get enough time to hit our brother up with some questions. Now, brother Lebo, when you hit that lifestyle, so it seems like based on the timeline you giving me, it's almost like when you really hit the hardcore pharmaceutical sales, that was around the same time that the crack cocaine epidemic was taking off in the first place. Tell me what that wave was like. Like what did you see that was different from what you grew up around, and how could you tell that what this is different? This ain't like powder.
Uh,
This ain't like water, nothing like that. This is something different.
See, it for me, like I say, my father, mother, and father stayed off of Santa Barbara between Menlo and Hoover.
Yes, sir.
So I would go over there in the summer months, 8, 9, 10 years old, and hustle. I remember when I came up on my first Rolex, it was a sports arena event, something to do with Herbie Love Bug or something. And I was down there, like searching through their bags and everything came up on the Rolex. The white man, I told the white man my grandfather and them gave me the watch, and he like, "Shh, grandfather and them ain't gave you no watch like this. So I was able to get hustle money. We used to sell chocolates and flowers, with damn man, Gino, Uncle Gino.
Mm,
Uh, you know, they had a connection to the nation, but we didn't see that.
yes,
They
sir.
would be like the brothers and sisters that, like right now, that'll come through and get the knowledge, and then they convert that knowledge into how to get this bread in the streets. So I got a different side of hustling, till tapping. Like I say, uh, my cousins and them started that Fortray Hoover, and then they got with them brothers from Five Deuce and all them, the Cadillac Bobs and Michael Carter and
Mhm.
and them brothers out of the 30s and Ice T and all them dudes. Like if I name my cousins them, and if you got them particular type of people that's in your audience, they're gonna immediately recognize, what I'm saying? People like Tony Stacy and all these, but these dudes were hustlers, hardcore hustlers. Like I say, we'll go downtown. We did display before they put the bars in the window. It used to just be glass in the
Mhm.
display. You know what I mean? We used to go downtown and deal with the Mexicans down there, and all the movie theaters on Broadway and Spring, all up in there hustling. But when I got introduced to the pharmaceutical aspect, my stepfather came in with the water,
Mm,
the PCP, the Sherman. Like a lot of the cookers were out of Compton and Watts. You had that little Nixon guard crew. People I can name right now that's dead, and it ain't like, oh, that nigga telling he snitching. Like I know these people are the Renee McGowans or the Whizzes, and
yes, sir.
Big Mac or Terry Tarzan. A lot of people don't even know who Terry Tarzan is that claim Compton. They don't
Mhm.
even know that Terry Tarzan put Terry Carter on. That's what I'm talking about. My first low rider I got from Stutterbox from over there, that stayed off of Bradfield over in that area, you
Yes, sir.
know. And my stepfather had an older son named, they called him Ghost.
Yes, sir.
I'm not using everybody's name, you know
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying? But they was out of the Looters Park aspect. And Terry Tarzan grew up over there in that area. Terry Tarzan was one of those brothers that he threw shows. If anybody understand my language, they threw shows, bro. They threw
Yes, sir.
shows. And they might whip, they wasn't doing no 10 or 12, you know what I mean?
Come on.
These brothers that's a lot, if Duck around from Fruit Town, you know, you understand what I'm saying. You just probably don't
Yeah.
recognize me without the goatee and the Jerry curl and all that. You know what I mean? I'm kind of cleaned up. You know,
Yes,
I
sir.
clean up well now. But I'm just saying, when he came with the PCP, that was, like, man, I never, like, I've never seen that kind of money before.
Now, real quick, Brother Lebo, one thing that was interesting about the 80s and 90s that I remember, and a lot of people who really don't know or didn't really grow up in the so-called hood, if they drove through the hood, they might see, a brother obviously high or obviously on one. And in the 80s and 90s, they would probably just automatically assume they want crack cocaine. But the interesting thing about the 80s and 90s, you had crack, which was like the superstar that was in the streets, but you also had Sherm. But you told me an interesting story. I always saw Sherm heads growing up, even in the so-called heartland of America. But I didn't know why they called it Sherm. Bless us with that trivia that you hit me with on why it's called Sherm.
Well, when the brothers, because my pops, my stepfather, would be messing with people like Wolf and them twin brothers over there by Davis Junior High and all that. So my pops would be like, yo, go to the store and go give me about 10 boxes of Sherman cigarettes.
Mm.
And man, I'll go get them little black long skinny things, and pops will put that, we'll dip it. You know what I'm saying? That's when you use the toothpick and dip, because you didn't want to get this. And man, you put it in the refrigerator, and then when you pulled it out, when you open up the box, it looked like diamonds was all
Mm.
in the cigarette, man.
Wow.
Sherman cigarette. That's where Super Cools came from. They couldn't get no Sherman cigarette, so they went and got some Cools.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man. Now, give us a timeline of where you were mentally and even spiritually when you first had your first direct experience with the nation.
Hey, what's this dude? Hey, it's the brother name. His name was Gramanian, but the minister named him Sharif when we went to Chicago and sit at the table. He named Sharif out there on the spot. But Sharif come to the spot, man. The little homies bought him. They was over there for 45th and West. They used to go over there and get some food. And then some kind of way they invite the brothers. So I'm in there whipping, man. This dude come up in there, and I'm like, hold up, what do he want? I'm thinking he there to pick up some, some pharmaceutical parts and
Yes, sir.
equipment and stuff like that. So they're like, no, he the good brother. The good brother? How much the good brother got? He got to be a hell of a good brother if we call him that. He must got plenty. But I ain't understand what he was saying about that. Like my mother Nim's mother was first generational Muslims under the Ambilaj Muhammad administration under the name Dean.
Mm.
But they kind of blocked all that because I grew up eating pork, pig feet, pork
Right.
chop, all that. So they didn't really nurture that in me. But we all got that God conscious in us. We just gotta wake it up and feed it.
Right.
So I knew about praying, and I knew the lifestyle I was living. I need a lot of prayer because I shouldn't even be right here, right now, talking to you based off of if y'all understand law and law sites, or if you look up at 360 Fed 3805, just that case alone, or 92 Fed third 642.
Mm.
I don't even supposed to be sitting here talking with you, my brother,
Yes, sir.
and just on that, on the legal aspect. I ain't talking about the different things that happen in the community, where, like I know I died. I know it,
Mm.
you know. So eh, and I missed. See, a lot of us don't understand how the CIA brought that dope in from San Francisco,
Come on. Come on.
that up north, down south. A lot of us don't understand that we was dealing with at the time when I first came in the game, uh uh a kilogram of cocaine cost 72,000.
Mm.
And you would run into Bolivians, Peruvians, Colombians. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta remember, my stepfather turned me on, and he knew these older people that was involved with that, and they were doing uh what you call dolphin seals. Some of you older brothers that know what I'm talking about with dolphin seals, they mainlining or they snorting. But by the time
Mm.
it got to the point in 79, 80, where they freebasing, they was actually using ether. And
Mm.
that's what made it so uh flammable. That's what happened with that guy Richard Pryor. Anybody know about ether and how that works?
Mm.
That's just a flame in itself, you know,
Yeah,
and
you
it
set the
and
air
then
on fire.
that yeah, it could be far away from you, feet away from you, and that spark can ride that to the source.
Mm. Wow, wow. Man, all praises due to Allah. Tell me about the moment, as much as you can remember, the moment when either you heard the teachings or the moment where it hit you and you said, you know what? This is me. This is me.
Man, man, when I sit at that table and talk to Mr. Farrakhan like I'm talking to you,
Come on, come on.
and all I kept telling him, the his son was sitting to my left, and they was at the head of the table, and I kept whispering in his ear, man, we just want to build banks, grocery stores, schools, and hospitals. That's, my me and my people, you know what I'm saying?
Come on.
And how he was talking to me and then listening to what the minister was saying, I knew then, I say, man, this is, man,
Mm.
honestly, I was like, fuck that. I'm with this shit.
Yes,
It's
sir.
better than banging. Y'all
Come
want to
on.
bang? Get on this line. I'm
Come on.
telling you.
Come on. Beautiful. Beautiful, dear brother. And like you alluded to before, you found yourself after that, in the belly of the beast, in the enemy's modern day plantation. And we got some brothers that by the grace of Allah that I was able to link up with, the brothers who run the Cage Thought. It's a podcast where brothers who are actually still serving inside come together and discuss the teachings. And I told them about you, and and inshallah, I'm gonna still make sure that y'all link up. But tell us a little bit about what you was facing when you was on the inside, and how long you were supposed to be in there, and then what you went through legally, but also spiritually to make your way out.
Well, um, I I first started off in the state in the 80s. And when I got out in 1989, I was released from Soledad North. You
Mm.
know, the first brother ever took me to and I don't really like to recount this story right now because the brother ain't around no more to confirm it.
Right.
But man, uh, they called him Monster Cody. He the first one took me to the masjid. And
Mm.
when I walked in, I seen a red carpet. They chanting like, bruh. It wasn't even the word bruh then, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
man, what you got me involved with? I'm
Right.
not understanding. Did nobody give me no explanation or nothing. But I'm looking at him like, oh, okay. Um, then I ran into Marvin Kinsley, the Ayatollah, and I was telling him about the Star of David that I was hiding my weed behind, and he was like, the Star of David. He said, man, you ain't never heard of the Star and the Crescent? I was like, the what?
Come
He
on.
like the Star and the Crescent. I don't know nothing about that. And then when I went back to Orange County to fight the case, when I came back, he was gone because I was at CIM West. So I get out in '89. I'm riding up uh, uh, Wilmington and Compton. It used to be a Nick's Check Casting place right there on the corner. And I ride by, I see one of my childhood friends named Wendell with some pink boxes and some papers with the bow tie on though. Now this dude didn't. He went to church no less than 3 times a week.
Come on.
I mean, no less than 3 times a week. So I just backed up. I said, man, what the? Hey, man, what is this? I said, well, I'm making moves. I said, Wendell, I'm gonna get back with you, and then I never get back with him after that, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I ran into Sharif, like I told you. I got involved in the nation, and then I caught this conspiracy case. I ain't never been caught with no dope ever,
Yes, sir.
never in my life. But I have been caught with money. And like I say, that's one is 367, Fed 2, 805, and you will see Francis or Muhammad, and the other one was 92 Fed 3rd, 642. That's the money.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 367 Fed 3rd, 805 case, I had got 30 years. You
Mm.
know, they gave me 30 years in that demonstration. And you know,
I think you muted yourself, Brother Lebo. Yeah, you still muted.
okay, how about that? Okay. So when I went through that, like I say, Allah inspired Obama to let me go in 2017.
Yes, sir.
So uh man, God did something to me while I was in jail, man. I started studying and reading more and getting into this law and understanding sorry. I understand now, not believe, but know the Nation of Islam teaching direction on Louis Farrakhan and his administration put us on, and that Master Muhammad gave us a covenant and a contract when you write your letter.
Come
All
on.
that.
Come on.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And if you really into your banging, this where you really need to be at. I got this thing about to die.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll never forget, Brother Lebo, when I first saw you. I was at my NationTown booth on 87th and Vermont. And man, it was like I could have swore it was the Son of Man coming around the corner on Manchester. And I would show the people real quick the assortment of uniforms that my brother has. And on this particular day, I think you busted out with the red first. Is that correct?
Man, that red one.
Yes, sir.
And oh,
My brother busted out with the red and the green. Now this is before we resurrected our uniform program in the nation. So I was like, wow. And man, they were so sharp, man. But what really stood out more than the uniform, Brother Lebo, was your mentality. Because the thing about the teachings, sometimes we scratch the surface of it, and then we let that make us become pompous or arrogant. And if a brother has a certain resume in our ranks, sometimes it can be kind of big eye little you. But
right.
but you pulled up with a spirit of service, like unadulterated, uncut. Let's get it. And you didn't come trying to. I learned your history in the nation and even in the streets from other people, not from you. And to me, that says so much about uh, a brother or a sister when their reputation precedes them and it comes from people other than them. If you could raise your camera up just a little bit, Brother Lebo, so we can see your face. Tell us what that felt like when you made it out the belly of the beast, knowing that they probably intended for you to die in there, and for you to be able to come out, boots on the concrete one more time, and get suited and booted for the Nation of Islam.
Man, and I, like you said, when they gave me that 30 years instead of giving me life, like they had gave my youngest cousin, and his brother gave me 35. They gave me 30. They gave him life.
Mm.
And I was in there preparing and studying. I used to have to talk to different, Orthodox brothers and Jewish brothers and Christians. And I remember what we were taught about um, how we can um, adopt different, like, Christian teaching. So I got with the Jehovah Witnesses.
Yes,
So
sir.
I found out that, like, they were called a Bible track study before they were Jehovah Witnesses, and after they met with Master Farad Muhammad,
Come
they
on.
became Jehovah Witnesses. I
Mm.
was like, damn, everything that the Ambi Elijah Muhammad, because y'all gotta remember, he went to federal prison too.
That's right. That's right.
So everything that Master Muhammad gave him, it can't be refuted. You can't you just got to be convinced to study. This is why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan gave us these studies and the 21 study units that were divinely guided through him.
Mm.
We just keep trying to use everybody else's
Come on.
teachings. So he gave us an aspect of Dianetics, not Scientology, but Dianetics, to
Yes.
help us remove that brown germ that was keeping us from developing into a God. Because Master Muhammad told Nabi Elijah Muhammad that he wanted to make us a nation of gods.
That's right. That's right.
So
Uh,
it was just so profound to find myself, and all I used was the teachings, the study guides, the supreme wisdom lessons in prison, and the prison people will pick me like that. You know how they try to pick your leaders. No, I ain't no leader. I'm a conflict resolutionist.
yes,
That's
sir.
all I am. And
Yes,
these people
sir.
that was sitting at the table when I told them that, man, you go get the shot callers. I'm not a shot caller. Because if I was a shot caller, every Friday doing Juma, it'd be packed. You wouldn't even have nobody to fit in there.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
that was my mentality. Like, I was able, I received those uniforms before uh 2000. I never got a chance to put them on because I went to prison.
Yes,
None
sir.
of them
Wow.
uniforms were I were able to wear when I got out. The brown I got in '98, it's a couple of colors that they had approved, but then they changed, the uniform program to where we're wearing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's design, and that design with the, I forgot how you say the name,
The
to
Nehru.
the neck. How you say it?
The Nehru collar.
The Nehru collar that
Yes.
really was for just Mr. Farrakhan. You
Yes,
know what
sir.
I'm saying? Because he was a star with no equal,
That's right.
you know.
Right.
So but I always liked the design of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I just, all the different colors came through at that time, was the former Supreme Captain. Under this new Supreme Captain, he shut the colors down for right now, and he's releasing certain colors. It's like how,
Yes, sir.
that's just how it is.
Yes,
And
sir.
I respect that.
Praise be to Allah. Now, the theme of this conversation, brother, is from snowfall to sunrise in the west. Now, I know you're not a big TV dude. You a man. You a soldier, but you saw a little bit of the show Snowfall,
Yes,
and
sir.
tell me what you felt like. Was a little. They kind of put extras on it that you may have noticed, and what you feel like was very accurate, and you're kind of glad that they actually shed some light on any particular thing. Was it something that you saw that was kind of like, nah, I wasn't really like that? And was there something that made you say, yeah, they got that part right?
Yes. They had a well, see, the way they make it seem separate with the different characters, it these they took different personalities throughout these communities that was moving around. Because, like, in the early '80s, like, say if you're doing '83 up until '89, a lot of us were interacting with each other that we might be hanging out, partying together or whatever, and everybody had a turn. So
Mm,
my guy might not be on deck. So I might go over to so and so them, and then they got them, and then I'm just trying to move them, and everybody was helping each other move
mm,
them. And then it was a time like in '85 where we start kind of like tripping on each other and trying to holler at the source, because
mm,
what a lot of the brothers see in that era was at a time where gang banging was kind of flourishing now. So all the girls went to the gang, and they really wasn't up on dudes that was making tens and hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars at that time, because that opportunity was there. You know, like I say, I was in high school, and what kept me out of the situation was I played football, and then it was my hours, so the people didn't know how I was moving, and they was like, "Well, damn, this dude is a great athlete, so
mm,
it can't be him." You know what I mean? So, but a lot of the other brothers that was calling themselves gang members was trying to get themselves in that life based off of, oh, this girl, she
mm.
like him, but all the time he doing this, and he might not know how to do that and get caught up, and then he'll tell on the guy,
Wow.
or they'll fall out between each other, and then the brother might not have good fight skills, so he might have got beat up on a one-on-one. Then he go back and tell him, "Oh, they jumped on me, them niggas over there." So a lot of these some of these old gang warfares between certain neighborhoods started behind a girl.
It is.
If brothers want to
It
be
is.
truthful and be accountable, you brothers out here that's been around since the '80s, 1980, man, come on, man. Be accountable, man. Tell the truth, man. Keep this
Mm.
thing real. And a lot of it was off of envy and jealousy.
Come on.
You know, when the low riding scene, when the low riding scene, and so and so them had this car, and blah blah blah, and them was still their car, and they had a lot of that going on too, based off of, because if I got money, my of course my rider gonna be nice, but you ain't got to know it's my car. So and so them can ride in it and keep riding until I feel like I want to ride, man. Let me bring that over here. Let me roll. You know, but a lot of dudes will see that and be thinking that's so and so in them car. So if they see me driving it, they ain't gonna be like, "Oh no, we ain't gonna mess with dude."
Wow. Now you just brought up something that kind of shook me up, man, because it started spinning in my mind. You said that there was a point in the early '80s when it really first started bubbling, where there was actual unity between the brothers that was moving the product, and then it deviated to disunity. And what's interesting about that is that my understanding of La Costa Nostra and the Italian mafia was kind of the opposite. They started off separate and then came together. So am I getting that right? That you said it started off and everybody was kind of feeding off of everybody and moving product as best they could, and then it turned into envy and jealousy and power grabs. Is that what you were saying, dear brother?
Right. Like LAPD, for the homies that's in your audience that know about Cowboy and them. You know
Mm,
them narcotic dudes was pressing cats and making you pay.
mm,
Keep it 100, bro. Don't
come on,
play.
come on,
Don't act like you was a killer like that then.
come on.
In 2023, you want to act like, man, you wasn't doing nothing to LAPD. You wasn't doing nothing to Stony Boys before the Stony Boys were so notorious. They had to shut that down because they know they messed over Tookie.
Mm,
They
yes,
know
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of dudes wasn't handling work like that. Everybody didn't have the sack, bro. Everybody couldn't handle the sack. They only certain people of youth age could even deal with the sack, and
Mm,
they had guidance from somebody older. So
yes,
I'm saying, if you not in the know, then you didn't know all these different groups and cliques used to hook up and get rid of, you know, man, like man,
yes,
it's a
sir.
lot of weight, you know.
Yes,
And,
sir.
and the Mexicans back then, the Mexicans wasn't even involved.
Mm. And
It
now
was
it's
a
the other way around.
Central South American cliques.
Yes, sir. And when we talked earlier, brother, you said one thing that you did respect from what you saw on Snowfall was the KGB element that they
Uh,
mentioned. Tell me about that.
and it didn't get on me until I got in prison.
Mm,
See, and when I start really trying to find the exit door to get out, because the white boys, the uh so-called white separatists, anti-government white boys, they got a lot of respect for the nation. If you carry
yeah.
yourself properly, they gonna holler at you, because kind of like how J.B. Stoner was placed in Message to the Black Man.
Yes, sir. And
You know,
invited to Savior's Day. Yes, sir.
right. So they'll drop certain things on you. And when I found out that the feds, the game that they play is wicked, you know.
Mm,
So I find out through my research how they did Fred Hampton, and how in that aspect of what Hoover did, and him being a 33rd and a third degree Freemason, and his idea was that everything that the FBI, CIA, KGB, MI5, 6, it's all about maintaining white superiority. That's it.
right.
Ain't no crime, no
Right.
none of that,
That's
because
right.
they are the criminals.
Come
They
on.
they they sell guns. They got tons of dope that they take from cartels, and then they come over here and distributed amongst the black community. That's why they utilize certain black participants from certain sections of the city. And they knew that we were taken and distributed in different cities and states. They knew that.
Yes, sir.
So they created the environment. They started the Crips and Bloods, and this nigga don't know what he's, bruh. Better
Come on.
check it out.
Let me
Read.
let me let me stop you right there, Brother Lebo, because that's the perfect segue into what I wanted to show the people that are watching. You can go to NationTownStore.com, and for free, you can order a lecture that I was blessed to do called the Evolution of COINTELPRO Part 2, NationTownStore.com. But I want to show the excerpt where we got into that. And it's by way 100% from my brother Lebo, who called me up one night. I had already did part one. And since I did part one, brother Lebo, like a cold ghostwriter, hit me up. It was like, brother, I see you on that COINTELPRO tip, but and you dropped a case number on me. And then I went down that rabbit hole, brother, man, and I saw it for myself. And I want to show the audience real quick the footage of that lecture where I brought that out and the way it impacted the audience that was in front of us. We also had our assistant supreme captain in the audience, and I remember after the meeting, he pointed out, man, that part where you broke down the source or what happened based on the Fred Hampton situation here in California. And I had to let him know, like I said on the stage, that came from my brother Lebo Muhammad. But let me show this real quick to the Nation Town viewers. And like I said, you can get the whole lecture from NationTownStore.com for free. But real quick, we're going to show it. 1 second, family. We may not be able to pull it up. Let me try it one more time. There we go. Here we go.
It's telling you that it has upgraded. Do you understand? Cap on about to go over. And I want to thank my beloved brother Student Lieutenant Lebo Muhammad. Is he in here right now? Brother called me in the middle of the night. And he dropped a case number on me. It was the case files of Fred Hampton. And he said, listen, brother, just read it. I'm not going to try to guide your mind, but I know you've been up there teaching, and you teaching on this subject. I just want you to read it and tell me if you see what I see. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. You got your thinking caps on? Yes, sir. For those who don't know, our brother, Fred Hampton, man, this brother was so brilliant. If you listen to this man and watch how he moved, go on YouTube, go do some studying. This young brother was brilliant, and the enemy knew he was. He had an agent right next to him. They made a movie about it. Black Messiah. Murdered in his home with his pregnant wife in a house full of weapons. House full of guns. I'm going to touch on that in a minute. But there's a case file that breaks down the entire investigation from the time they started the investigation all the way down to the end. And his family filed a lawsuit against the United States government, and that's when they went deeper into the case. Y'all with me? Yes, sir. This is the pre-raid portion of the investigation. Now, pay very close attention. This ain't no hooting and hollering. I grew up in the church. How many of y'all grew up in the church? This ain't no preaching. This is a classroom today. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. In August 1967, the FBI initiated a national, what's that word again? National Covert Counterintelligence Program called COINTELPRO, which was designed to neutralize a variety of political organizations, including those which the Bureau characterized as black nationalist hate groups. Directors from Washington ordered the Chicago office, which is where Fred Hampton lived. They ordered the Chicago office of the FBI to implement the program in the Chicago area. Check this out. While the Black Panther Party was not an original target of this program, I wonder who was the original target. Maybe it was the people who inspired the Black Panther Party, such as the Nation of Islam. Okay, all right. It was included within the ambit of COINTELPRO scrutiny by September 1968. Now, check this out. This is where I want you to really pay attention. For example, in Southern California, Southern what? California. Is that where we are right now? Yes, sir. In Southern California, the FBI mounted a covert, that means secret, a covert operation to escalate a gang war. I'm going to stop right there. Escalate a what? Gang war. One thing about Chicago and LA, I hate to use this comparison, but in an unrighteous way, it's just facts. Chicago and LA are like the Mecca and Medina of gangbanging. Is that correct? Wherever you gangbanging in the world, it's somehow connected to the gangs in either Chicago or LA. I grew up in the middle of this country, had the same gangs that are here in LA because they came from here. Do you understand? But just use your imagination for a minute. Because this is 1967 and 68, where they mounted a covert operation to escalate a gang war. At the time of this, beloved, the gangs here in Los Angeles were really street organizations. They were put together to protect our communities. White folks used to come to our communities and have their way with us, even in LA. Even with our Chicano families. Research the Zoot Suit riots.
Right.
They were real street organizations. Do you understand? But in 1967-68, the FBI mounted a covert operation on the West Coast to escalate a gang war between the Black Panther Party, led by a brother out here in LA named Bunchy Carter, who was a junior FOI.
Right.
Meaning that his parents were registered Muslims and he went to the Muslim school, Muhammad University of Islam. But when he grew up, he became one of the foremost leaders of the Black Panther Party in LA. They created a rift between the Black Panther Party and the US coalition. United Slaves is what they called themselves. This gang war resulted in the killing of 4 Panthers, including Bunchy Carter, by members of the United Slaves and numerous beatings and shootings. This is 1967 and 68. There's some brothers in this room who will be able to answer the question I'm about to ask. When were the Crips founded? 1969. If the FBI sent a group out here to the West Coast to escalate a gang war in 67, 68, and then somehow, our street organizations became grafted from street organizations to suicidal, fratricidal organizations, who gave us gangs today as we know them?
Man, all praises due to
All praises due.
Yeah,
All praises due.
I'm gonna bring you back up real quick, brother Lebo. I think we fell off. One.
Am I? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can definitely hear you. I want to bring you back up on the multiple screen.
Okay. I don't. Is there anything I need to do?
No, sir. You good?
Okay.
I don't see you though.
I'm in the. I don't know. Let me see. Let me test that. What about that? No.
Yeah. Do you have your camera on your phone? There we go. All praises due to Allah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Man, I want to thank you, brother, for giving me that information, man, because that blew my mind. And you basically uncovered a clear conspiracy that, like I said, I mean, they come from grafting. That's their history. That's their nature. That's what they come from. We come from kings and queens and gods. They come from grafting. And they grafted our street organizations into. Now, I'm not putting all the blame on the enemy.
Right.
Because today, it's us behind those triggers. But our street organizations had a different function than they did back then. And now they have, you know, as we see, constant bloodshed, constant, even now the sets themselves have broken off, you know, with division. You know, it's countless Crip sets, countless sets even within sets. And it all started from that 1967-68 intervention after the Fred Hampton maneuver. And you basically you know, like a hood, like a brother Gary Webb, man, you broke that story, man. So I want to thank you for doing that. We're about to close out. We might have to do a part 2, brother Lebo. I know you down, but
I'm with you, brother. Brother
one
minister.
other before we here, I want to know. I don't know if you saw the end, and I hope I'm not I'm not spoiling it for you. But like I said, you a soldier. You not no TV brother. You know. Plus, you really lived that life. But at the end of the Snowfall series, the series is over now. You know, and may Allah be pleased with our brother John Singleton. Great brother. He was a good friend of our regional minister, Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad. Shout out to our beloved Western Regional Student Minister,
Yes,
Abdul
sir.
Malik Saeed Muhammad. But the
Yes, sir.
show has ran its course. But at the end, the main character, Franklin Saint, who was kind of like a Freeway Rick kind of character, at the end, he becomes essentially an alcoholic. And they didn't really show him doing dope, but, you know, he basically spiraled down to just being essentially a bum and an alcoholic. Tell me a little bit about, tell me this, was that a realistic ending? for somebody who was in the streets, who was a kingpin, who had the walls filled up with dope, had money coming in by the tens and hundreds of thousands, and then to end up in that condition? And is that something like, you don't have to say no names, but did you see that kind of deviation, that kind of spiral down with some of the brothers that you came up with?
Um, right and exact. I mean, look at it like this. I mentioned some of y'all brothers in this audience know about LAPD, detective, narcotic detective Cowboy. Y'all know about Blondie from 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 the Stony Boys and the Linwood Vikings. Man, they come on, man. Y'all got jacked by them dudes, man. They robbed y'all
Mm,
straight up. Y'all know I'm talking the truth.
come on.
Y'all got robbed by them, and you had to work for them, and they'll come back every 6 months and knock your ass down and take some. They didn't go for the junk jury. They went for
Mm,
a jury that they know that they can get proceeds from, or take your boats and your high end cars and
mm.
hit your safe. Now, I challenge any brother that grew up in California, in the Los Angeles area, Watts, Compton, and say that, come on here and say, no, you lying, brother.
Mm. Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's like some of these so-called gunners. They got to get amped or geeked up because they did something that they wasn't qualified to do,
Mm,
you know. They wasn't qualified to do that. That wasn't really they essence or their character.
that's
So
right.
now to numb themselves, they become alcoholic. A lot of the brothers that was doing cooking, throwing shows, a lot of brothers that was throwing shows end up smoked out, because after they throw a show, they might get an ounce or two when they was going for grams, you know what I'm saying? And you get a whole ounce and go lock up in the hotel room with the finest of the females at that time, and get your freak on, and y'all doing things. And then what they did was the Caucasian man start shutting down the PCP,
Mm,
because blacks could take a few thousands and become wealthy
that's right.
without their aid and assistance. You know what I'm saying? They didn't need the white folks. But when they changed their foreign policy in Nicaragua, and the Central South American aspect of their foreign policies, then that's where the cocaine came in at, the
Mm,
black ops.
yeah.
That's where the KGB and all these other different, like the Cuban Five and all these type of people, they was coming over here getting information to prove that the CIA was involved with President Bill Clinton and Mena, Arkansas. With you got to remember, Clinton and Bush Senior was homies.
That's right.
And if you ain't never hustled out of the state of Arkansas, you really wouldn't know the aspect of it. Down there in
Mm,
Hope, Arkansas, or Little Rock, or any of those
yeah.
little Jonesboro.
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm telling y'all things that y'all can go research to see if
Sir.
I'm authentic.
Now that's the
Tell me,
part that I can
tell
bear
me what I'm
witness
not
to.
that I'm not telling the truth.
Yes, sir. You absolutely
Some of
right.
these people still work for these people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I just know y'all can't do nothing with Master Farad Muhammad, and I'm Elijah Muhammad, and I'm Louis Farrakhan, and those that truly believe in this program and
Come
gonna make this. It's about expressing truth for actual facts and delivering our people, the mentally, spiritually dead, to the Lamb of God, the
on. Yeah.
Mahdi,
Come on.
through the Messiah. So I get at me if you want to. I feel good because I still supposed to be in jail.
Come on. That part. Allahu Akbar. Allahu.
Allahu Akbar.
And before
Allahu
we get out of here, I want to show just a quick excerpt with a few photographs of the full circle, brother, that you didn't came. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but my brother, like I said, he's so humble. So I gotta point it out for him. My brother, not only is he a hard driving lieutenant, one of the most consistent and reliable brothers in the ranks of the Nation of Islam, but I'm telling you, his work, just like all of us, is in the streets. Brother works with the New World Academy Foundation. you know, along with our beloved First Officer, Brother James A. Muhammad, our Field Operations Captain, Will Muhammad. And he has an East Side Book Club Wednesday nights, you know, where they use the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through the study guides as the basis. And my brother has brothers just like him who come from the same background coming together, not just reading on self-improvement, but for a lot of these brothers really learning how to read. And when I say how to read, I don't just mean sounding out syllables. A lot of us know how to say a word that we see on paper, but don't know what we actually looking at. So it's programs like this that are very useful with the resurrection of our people. But our brother, man, he's a Muhammad of all trades. This is my brother right here with Auntie Maxine Waters. He's a close friend of hers, and you know, brother got her on speed dial. The brother, he frequents city hall meetings. He's a true advocate of our people and behind whatever wall he needs to go behind. But I gotta show him, Brother Lebo, your best accomplishment. And this picture I found right here, man. Your large family, dear brother. All praise. And
Them my babies.
That's just like a drop in the bucket, man. My brother has been very fruitful. But here's what I love about you, Brother Lebo. And as a brother who grew up never sitting down and having a conversation with my father, you know, I know brothers like yourself, Brother Lebo, you may or may not beat yourself up about decisions you may have made in the past, but I'm just going off of what I bear witness to today, brother. You do an awesome job reaching out to your sons, to your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, and your extended family. You're a family man, and not only did you hit the ground running to the nation, but you simultaneously reached out, you know, to your family as well. You're a fantastic family man, and I wanted to show that side of you. And I'm gonna let you get the last word. And here's what I want to hear. You know, this video is gonna be up on YouTube for the duration until the enemy tear it down. But in case a brother who may be younger than you or somebody from your own generation who like you survived that background and that lifestyle and they looking for something different, I want them to hear from the God's mouth. I want them to hear from a brother that went through it. What would you say to a brother who's watching this right now, or sister who had that same similar background and they looking for something else? If they were sitting right next to you, and we'll close out with this, Brother Lebo, what would
Man, sister, brother, join on to your own kind by accepting yourself.
come on?
You have to accept the fact that you are a descendant from the original creator of the heavens and the earth. Don't
Come on.
let these people fool you. Research it. The one thing that got me motivated, the minister said, don't take my word for it. Research it. That's somebody that don't have nothing to hide, brother. But straight
Yes.
up. Hey, look, if I'm trying to hoodwink you or I work for them people, you ain't gonna know my background, man. Listen, I stay right in the community. I hate when a brother, oh man, where y'all come from? Man, you listen, I'm from here. I'm from the community. I went to Locke High, I went to Jefferson High School, I got
Come on.
kicked out of high school, all that.
Come on.
So come link up with your people.
Yeah.
Accept your own and be yourself. Come get these teachers that the God, Allah, and the person of Master Prophet Muhammad gave Ami Elijah Muhammad, and then he grew them up into being certain people in the back of page 12 of what the Muslims believe.
Come on. Come on.
Point number 12, I mean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, all praise is due to Allah. I mean, it's that's as simple as it gets, man. Accept your own and be yourself. Listen, Brother Lebo, man, this was a joy. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. This won't be the last time, brother, because we're gonna get deeper into some of the topics that we just kind of touched on. Because I wanted to kind of touch bases on a lot of different things. But brother, you got a deep perspective that's based on wisdom and experience that I think the people need to hear. I want to thank you for giving us that opportunity.
And thank you.
Man, all praises due to
Yeah,
Allah.
I'm not saying nothing. If I don't know you, I ain't got nothing to say. Let my work do the talking. Join on with your own kind, brother. And let's build this nation, man. It says that our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done
There it is,
on earth.
right here, as
I
it
ain't no
is in
spooky dude. I ain't looking for nothing in the sky.
heaven. The sweet bye in the sky when you die. Yes, sir. Right here on the ground while I'm still around. That's what I'm talking about, man. With that said, dear family, shout out to the whole Nation Town family. I see you, Sister Sharifa. I see you, Any Wright. I see you, Brother Kevin. I see you, Brother Carl, Big Carl. All praises due to Allah. We definitely going to do this again. For those of you in the Los Angeles area, this Sunday, come and meet with us, dear brothers. We going to break down how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been vindicated. Not by me, not by Brother Lebo, but by Almighty God Himself. All the allegations, all the criticism, all of that. We're gonna lay it all on the table, kind of like how we did tonight. We're gonna lay it all on the table, man, and we are gonna vindicate. We're gonna help prove that he's been vindicated already by Almighty God Himself, who appeared in the person of Master Father Muhammad. We're gonna get into that this Sunday, 8039, like Brother Lebo opened up with 8039 South Vermont. Man, you better get in there, get in where you fit in. We about packed it out the last 3 or 4 weeks. Get in where you fit in. Doors open at 10 o'clock. Come and meet with your brothers and sisters. And I got a free gift for our first time guests. Please believe. But with that said, Brother Lebo, once again, thank you for joining with us. We definitely gonna do
Thank
this
you.
again. But I leave
Thank you.
y'all as I greeted y'all in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.